I was so happy, especially in my city, to welcome everyone, all the media, all the fans from all around the world. I did a lot of interviews for British TV or radio, for example, where I said, we're welcoming you here. The weather was nice. It was perfect. I even made kind of a joke saying like, oh, from now on, every Champions League final should be here in Paris. And then come 7 o'clock on Saturday when we started hearing about the troubles and all of that, I felt really embarrassed and really ashamed. And this is the image that Paris and France in general are sending to the whole world. This is the Champions League final that got the kickoff delayed, which apart from Heysel, which very, very different context in a way, never happened before. The best players in the world that we make wait for the biggest game for some of them in their career. And I felt so ashamed, and I would like to apologize to Liverpool fans. Not that I would change anything for the people who had tickets, didn't make it into the ground, or the one that were pepper sprayed or tear gassed, or that had a horrible experience or were mugged off, whatever. My apologies are not going to change anything, but I think it's outrageous and really, really shameful to not just showcase that from France and Paris, but then to even hear the French Home Secretary saying, well, the problem was because thousands of Liverpool fans had no tickets and they were trying to force their way in. We're like, so then you lie? So that's how you organize the Champions League final. And then you lie to people who were clearly shocked by everything they saw. I just thought the whole thing was absolutely shambolic.
I agree with you. I think, look, were there a lot of Liverpool fans who were in Paris without tickets? I think very obviously, yes. Reports said between 60 and 70,000 supporters were there. We know how many tickets Liverpool fans got officially and so on. So there are obviously people there. There's people, but we also know there's people who bought tickets on the secondary market in good faith, and those tickets turned out to be fake.
Or some of them, yeah.
There might have been, undoubtedly, Liverpool fans who showed up at the stadium hoping to get in without a ticket. That's inevitable. But you have to draw a line somewhere. You still, as the authorities, you still have a duty of care to these people. You have to have a proportionate response. First and foremost, you have to keep people safe.
Yeah.
That is your first duty from a policing and organizational perspective. And the other thing too, which needs to be touched upon, and we just saw a video a few minutes ago, is all the number of the enormous number of local random people who thought it would be funny to sneak into the ground.
Yeah.
Now, I was inside the stadium until like an hour and a half after the final whistle, and so basically everybody's left. In that kind of 45 minutes after the Real Madrid celebrations happen and they all go in and there's just randoms on the pitch, the number of people who made it a point to run onto the pitch with their cell phone and film themselves on the pitch of the Stade de France was enormous. Yeah. You just now showed me a video about this guy who's filming himself going under a turnstile, and it looks like the steward there who's there is like his mate because he hugs him and lets him in. I mean, this stuff can't happen. This is a basic policing thing. Yeah. It happened there. It could have happened at any event. You can't make this just about the Liverpool fans.
No, that's true.
I have something else to say too to all these people. And this is normally in third countries, right? Not in England. It's some people, some stupid people who really, I think the ones who never go to football matches, they don't realize it could have been then. It could have been your club, who trot out the usual same stereotypes about Liverpool fans. You need to stop. The people who come out and say, oh, but isn't it funny that it was only the Liverpool fans who had this problem and not the Real Madrid fans? You need to stop. Jules, you want to know why it was the Liverpool fans and not the Real Madrid fans? Okay, I'll tell you why, because there's reasons for it. So the approach to the ground in the final bit was different for Liverpool and Real Madrid. The way the fans arrived at the ground. The Liverpool one was much more likely to create backlogs and difficulties with security. Secondly, and anybody who's been to, I don't know, this is like my 23rd Champions League final, there's the profile of the traveling Real Madrid fan and the traveling Liverpool fan is different. It simply is. Liverpool supporters who travel to Champions League finals tend to be the same Liverpool supporters who go to Anfield. Not everybody who was a season ticket holder got a ticket, but obviously a lot of the other ones, some of them got them on second. They scrimped and saved to be there. With Real Madrid fans, I'm talking about the season ticket holders at the Bernabeu. Obviously, the ones who could go did go, but it is a different profile of supporter. My information that was given to me was that among the Real Madrid fans who were present, there were many more who came from different parts of the world. There are many more, frankly, who had more money and were better dressed, and maybe were more low-key. And maybe that played a part in the way the police reacted to them. Maybe they looked different as well. I think all these things impact it. And finally, the fact that there were 70,000 Liverpool fans in Paris. They were very visible in the streets of Paris the night before. You have an and stereotyping of hooliganism and whatnot that comes into it too, which doesn't apply to Real Madrid fans. And this is why I think these are the basic reasons why it happened. I also think that some of those people who were locals, had nothing to do with the game, that decided to sneak in and cause havoc and whatever, those guys tried to go in with the Liverpool fans because it was much easier to go in with the Liverpool fans because they were noisier. There's also a cultural thing with Real Madrid fans simply tend to get to the ground much earlier. I'm not saying it's the Liverpool fans' fault for being late because we know many of them were there 2 to 3 hours before kickoff, but others were there. Real Madrid fans were walking in at 4 o'clock, 5 hours before kickoff, right? So all these things come together. So don't use this as, some kind of dog whistle slight on Liverpool fans because it's just not fair. Hopefully there'll be a full investigation. Hopefully we'll find out where it is. To me, it seems if you want to blame UEFA are ultimately responsible. However,
well, the French Federation as well, they were in charge of security.
What UEFA do is they put up a plan with the French FA, with the local police, and they hand it over. It's a little bit like, and this is before also people get too smug about French policing. I refer you back to the Euro 2020 final at Wembley, which we were both there, and the scenes that happened there, and people breaking with tickets, and the unruliness and so on. This is a more general problem. It requires good policing, it requires smart policing, it requires resources, but your number one priority has to keep everybody safe.
Thanks so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. And for more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for premium content and live streaming, subscribe to ESPN Plus.